Hello and welcome to DD News. You're watching Candid Conversation with me, Priyanka Agarwal Chaudhary. And today we have with us on this show Special Commissioner of Police Traffic, Dr. Mukesh Chander, to talk to us more about the problems that we're facing when it comes to the traffic situation in Delhi. Also, now the Delhi government has come out with a blueprint when it comes to the odd and even policy of the government, which will be implemented for a trial period of 15 days from the 1st of January. We will talk about all that and more. But first, let's try and understand the main problems that the traffic police faces about the current situation where it concerns the traffic. So, welcome to DD News. First, let's talk about the problems that you think that are faced by people in Delhi when it comes to the traffic situation here.
The population of Delhi, particularly the vehicular population and the road length of Delhi have not kept pace with each other. Over a period of time, the number of vehicles have increased very fast. As of now, there are about 95 lakh vehicles on the roads of Delhi. But the road length has not increased that much. The public transport also has to go a long way in terms of its satisfaction. So as a result, the pressure on the roads is increasing, and there are times, particularly in the peak hours in the morning and evening, the roads are just not capable of taking that kind of load. The satellite towns around Delhi have also gone commercial. Particularly Gurgaon, Noida and Ghaziabad and other places also. So a lot of tidal movement takes place in the morning to these places and then in the evening. And these are the peak times when the traffic is unable to move, even though there is no bottleneck, but the bumper to bumper traffic just cannot take that kind of load.
But Dr. Chander, now this is a problem that has not just come about overnight. It has grown over the last so many years. Where do you think the problem really lies? Is it just not about rules, or is it more about the implementation of those rules that are already in place?
The traffic behavior of the road users, I would say both motorists as well as the pedestrian and other non-motorized vehicles, they also have contributed to the chaos in Delhi. For example, pedestrians try to cross the road from all over the places, even though there are designated places, zebra crossing, foot-over bridges and all that. So they not only endanger themselves but also slow down the traffic. In the same way, the motorists do not follow lanes. They try to go on the wrong side and then creating a grid-like lock kind of situation. And the Motor Vehicle Act, which was enacted in 1988, and most of the fines are to the tune of 100 rupees to 300 rupees. They are not acting as a deterrent anymore. So the tendency on the part of motorists to violate traffic laws is also increasing over a period of time, unless there is a deterrent punishment element which is brought in.
But also this whole idea of people not really having the driving sense in India, or the basic civic sense. Do you think it's a problem of not having proper driving school, not having a proper test when it comes to when licenses are handed out to these drivers who are not very professional when it comes to that?
That's true. That's true. It's possible today to get multiple licenses from various places. There is no biometric system. And it's not a hidden fact that it's very easy to get driving licenses in India as compared to the Western countries, where getting a driving license is a family celebration.
But how do you check these problems? Do you think there should be more schools? Do you think people should need to be more aware, or is it just about people participation in this whole event?
I think everyone has to play his role. The motorists, when they are trying to get a license, they must learn the basic rules of the roads for the safety of themselves as well as for the safety of others. The driving schools need to teach them properly, not just hand over a certificate of having attended certain classes for a number of days. And then the motor vehicle licensing authorities need to be very, very stringent, where there is no human element involved, and computerized tests should be there. And it shouldn't be so easy to get a license. I have seen the driving license regime in Europe when I was in peacekeeping operation. I think if we are tested, the Indian drivers are tested as per the European standards, I believe
more than
90% are going to fail.
Yeah, definitely, because they have very strict rules, and they, there are a lot of parameters that you're tested on. But when we talk about, we're talking about the sheer number of cars on Delhi roads, and you talked about the number of over 90 lakh cars on these roads. Do you think when even a small violation occurs, whether it's a violation is small or big, do you think that the traffic police has enough manpower to actually handle the number of violations that take place on Delhi roads?
Every year we prosecute about 45 lakh people for not following traffic rules. But in a particular experiment when we did, we call it Operation Chakarview. On one particular junction in 2 hours, more than 1,000 violations were detected. If that be so, and we choose 100 junctions in Delhi, continue the drive for a week, 42 lakh violations will be recorded in 1 week itself, which is almost the same which we do for the entire year. This is the volume of traffic violations being committed in Delhi. And as I mentioned earlier, 100 rupee fine for the most of the offences is just not acting as a deterrent.
And there are a lot of repeat offenders, I'm sure.
There are repeat offenders. There is still no policy on some kind of accumulation of penalty points, after which your license should be suspended or cancelled. And that's where I realized that offenders get away with the traffic offences very, very easily, even when it comes to drunken driving.
So do you think that it's high time that we actually adopted technology, the use of technology to catch these offenders, whether it comes to those automatic cameras, when we're talking about even those lights at crossing, or even having digitized challans going to people's homes? When will this technology be adopted? Do you think it's high time it's adopted now?
It's I agree with you that it's a high time. We have already started the process of automatic enforcement systems, whether it is traffic light violation, speed violation, or lane violation for that matter. Very soon you'll have these systems in place. The problem still would remain is to modernize our laws. 100 rupee, which had a value in 1988, by any economic parameters would be 2,000 rupees today. So unless the fine is increased to 5,000 or 10,000 rupees, and it is connected with the accumulation of certain penalty points, and then you lose license after certain traffic points are accumulated, I don't think there is going to be any effect on the road motorists in terms of deterring them. And the same people, when they go abroad, they follow all the traffic rules because of the fear of law, and that's what we have to bring in.
It's also very heartening to see the kind of adoption of social media that the traffic department has taken. I mean, whether it comes to telling people through these social media sites about a particular traffic jam, or trying to get public participation to catch offenders. But do you think it was a little late in coming, and what kind of a response have you really got on these sites?
No, I won't say it's late. We have been on the Facebook, Twitter for a very long time now, and we have got pretty good number of people following us on the social media. WhatsApp we started last year, and as of now we are present almost on all the platforms, and people follow us for various kinds of advices. We are trying to give them live traffic updates, traffic warnings, advisories. And recently we have also started the traffic sentinel scheme, in which law-abiding people who can participate in catching traffic offenders send us the video or photograph of traffic offences, and accumulate certain reward points which will entitle them to receive not only prizes but also a bumper prize in terms of a car.
And also, when we talk about not just Delhi but the whole of India, we see a lot of mixed traffic here, whether it's the cyclist on the same lane, or a scooterist, or a motorcycle along with a car which would have a truck in the same lane. How much of a problem is that really, and what can be done to kind of ensure fewer number of accidents and lesser violations?
I think every developing country has a similar situation. In Delhi, if we take, we have got 48 various types of transport modes, starting from bullock carts to rickshaw, e-rickshaw, and all kind of. Now, all of them are jostling for the limited road space. Lane driving is just not possible if different kind of vehicles move at different speeds. That goes against the basic principle of lane driving. At certain places in Delhi, non-motorized vehicle lanes have been created, and cycle rickshaw cycles are supposed to be driven in that. But the condition of many of those NMV lanes is very pathetic. We have written to civic agencies to make sure that they are usable. But then other modes of transport would remain, and that's a problem in terms of lane discipline, as well as moving smoothly and increasing the mobility.
What are your views on that whole experiment of the BRT?
I was Additional Commissioner Traffic when the BRT was being conceived, and we had our own reservations, not against the idea per se, but against the implementation of the entire thing. And it's on record that we had mentioned certain fundamental facts which would go against the BRT at that time. I think a recent decision to scrap BRT is an indicator that objections of Delhi Traffic Police were correct at that time.
Okay, so when we started this discussion, and you talked about the length of the roads not being enough to handle the kind of vehicular traffic there is, but even the width of the roads in most parts of the city are not good enough. What really needs to be done? Do you think it's a problem of encroachment? Do you think it's a problem of, again, people trying to take more portion of the road which is meant for transport into their own personal space? And how can these problems be addressed?
I think the fundamental thing is to move on to public transport. More and more people must use public transport, which must be very convenient to them. The last mile connectivity issues must be sorted out. And using a public transport must be a pleasant experience, not like that you are jostling for space to enter, and then it's a crammed, you can't even move your hands in a public transport. Obviously that will deter people from using it. So a very convenient and usable public transport network must be established. We still need to go long way in this direction. The second is that wherever the road length is available, at least one lane of it is either used for parking or has been encroached upon because there is not enough space for vendors and parking, and then the policy of the government to use them as mixed land use policy, where the shops can also exist. So if the entire stretch of road and all the lanes are available, they can reduce the burden on the roads to some extent. But then there are a lot of issues involved in terms of policy making.
And when we talk about public transport, the other issue that crops up is safety, and particularly when we talk about women, that becomes an issue. And also public transport really doesn't run very late into the night, and there are a lot of jobs these days which are not your traditional jobs, and you need to be on the roads. In that case, what needs to be done?
I think particularly from the satellite towns and important corridors, the service can be extended late in the night. There can be fewer trips, but certain trips must always be there. Most of the public transport are safe in Delhi, except for small few instances, stray instances. So I think we must encourage more of public transport, and then for short distances we can always use walking as an healthy and pleasant exercise. Also, one can use cycling, provided the cycle tracks are provided, safe cycle tracks are provided. As of now, cycling is a nightmare. You just don't know when you are going to be hit from behind or from the side. But abroad, we have seen that very nice user-friendly cycle tracks are available, which are used by many people for the short distance.
I'm going to ask you about your model traffic police system in which part of the country in a short while, but because we're on that issue of women's safety, I want to know, are there enough women involved in the traffic police department, and do you think that also would be more, is there a need for more to encourage more women to actually come out on the streets?
We have a lot of women officers and traffic staff in our traffic police also. I don't think there is a shortage of that, but more women, if they are inducted, that will be good.
Okay. You talked about different countries and the kind of systems that are in place there, whether it comes to the cycle tracks or other important implementation of rules. Which, according to you, is one city which has a model traffic management system, and what can we really adopt from there?
I think we can learn a lot from Singapore, a place I've seen that the people are afraid of committing a traffic offense. They just can't afford. Those who have cars, they are the ones who really need it. The others use public transport network, and using public transport is a very nice experience because you're moving like you're moving in a mall. You do your shopping, you are safe. It's an underground air conditioned environment. So I think we can learn a lot from that kind of traffic management there.
But do you think it's only the fear factor which actually stops people from indulging in traffic violations? Because you are trying the carrot and stick approach. I mean, when you talk about that whole system of the point system that you're providing, if people drive well, or the way they will be accumulating points. So are you trying to shift from that whole fear factor and trying that carrot and stick approach as well?
It's both. It's both. The users must be educated, made aware of their safety, and also about the traffic laws. They must be encouraged to follow traffic rules. They must be rewarded for that. But at the same time, those who do not and those who willingly do not follow traffic rules, they must be penalized, not only in the interest of their own safety, but also for the interest of the safety of others. For example, anyone who is drunk beyond a certain limit and he drives, he certainly knows that what he is going to do, and he is going to be a risk factor to all the road users, and still he does it. I think he must be sent to prison and his license must be confiscated. But the problem is he gets away with it after paying a paltry sum of rupees 2,000 to 3,000 rupees. And very rarely I have seen people actually landing in the hard jail for drunken driving.
And what about the problems that are faced because of our proximity to other states like Haryana and Uttar Pradesh, and the kind of traffic that we see from there? And I'm not just talking about vehicular traffic, even truck traffic, goods traffic. How much of a problem that create, and the kind of pressure it puts on infrastructure in Delhi?
This is a very serious problem because Delhi does not have alternate routes around it. So many trucks, heavy trucks, use Delhi as a transit corridor, and even if they don't have any work to do in Delhi, this non-destined traffic passes from Delhi, which creates serious bottlenecks. We have been trying our best. Recently, Supreme Court of India, Honorable Supreme Court of India, has also passed directions that they have to be diverted from the respective states. And we had a meeting with the police officers and transport people of these states. And everyone has to go to the Supreme Court with the plans. How are they going to divert? So this is a real problem. Much of the pollution and the load of traffic can be reduced if this non-destined traffic does not enter Delhi.
But when we come to that whole problem of pollution and looking at the kind of steps that the Supreme Court has taken, it has been a landmark decision. But do you think, apart from just the sheer number of vehicles, there are other problems that are leading to this kind of pollution? Looking at the kind of old cars that exist in India, which don't exist in other parts of the world, there's a manner in which they are phased out. How are these practices to be adopted here, looking at our sheer population and the, it's like you said, it's a developing country and the income standards are different?
As long as the vehicle is non-polluting, it can run on the roads, but there are certain orders of NGT, National Grade Tribunal, also of Supreme Court, where certain limitations have been put because of the peculiar conditions of Delhi. So I think within that constraint, people are supposed to use their vehicles. The vehicles must have pollution under control certificate. And of course, commercial vehicles, there is a lot of restriction on them.
Now the blueprint on that odd even policy is also out. If we could talk about implementation of that policy.
From the media reports, I have come to know that notification will be issued under Section 115 of Motor Vehicle Act, and that has a penalty of 2,000 rupees if somebody violates. And I believe there are number of category of vehicles are also exempted. So once we receive the notification, we will be in a position to implement it to the best of our capabilities.
Okay, a personal question here now. When I entered your office, I was seeing these clippings about you playing the flute. If you could just tell us a little more about that. How much of a passion is that for you? How did it start?
It started from my school days. Then when I joined police, there was a serious break in flute as a hobby. But then I revived it recently and I've started playing in Doordarshan programs. It acts as a great stress buster to me.
We wish you had a flute right now and we could have asked you to play something for us, but maybe next time?
Sure, maybe next time, and in any of the Doordarshan programs or somewhere. Last year also I released one of my CDs on flute, any such occasion will...
Definitely, we're looking forward to that, but thank you Dr. Chander for talking to us here on Doordarshan today.
Thank you very much.
With that, we'll wrap up this edition of Candid Conversation right here. When news and updates continue on DD News, you stay tuned. Namaskar.